Howdy Lab
Hey.
Partners, how's it going? LVO last call here with Brett
Uh-oh.
and
Mere,
myself, Zach, right? Yeah.
mere hours to go.
Mere hours ago. Saray, from our channel, looks like he's already there.
Yeah. Oh, wow. He's already in Las Vegas.
I think so. He says it smells like an ashtray. And
Oh
so
my
I think he's
gosh.
talking about
The Rio.
the Rio, yeah. Now, we have each a couple of like last minute things we're doing. Do you feel like you're in a rush? Are you like crunched?
I wasn't until I started getting ready for the stream, and I completely, like, I had one step to do before tonight's show.
Yeah.
And completely ruined my model, and then had to like redo a bunch of
You
stuff.
didn't completely ruin it.
Okay, I am exaggerating.
I mean, I'm looking over at it. I can't. I don't even know.
I didn't throw it on the ground and smash
Yeah,
it to
yeah.
pieces. But yeah, I made a mistake, and
Yeah.
and as is the case when you're airbrushing, you can ruin a lot of surface area pretty quickly. So,
Right.
yeah, that last varnish step gets you every time. Not every time.
Yeah. So, but to be fair, and we can talk about this in a bit. But to be fair, we have had something here in the Bay Area, California, that's a little unusual, which is both
Moisture,
moisture and cold.
cold. Yeah.
Both of our kind of airbrush areas are quasi outdoors.
Right.
Mine's on a patio. Yours is in a unheated
Garage.
garage.
Yeah.
And we're used to I'm used to airbrushing down into the 50s,
Yeah.
upper 40s, but it's been like cold.
It's been cold, and I think that ended up messing with the routine.
Yeah.
It's a bummer.
Kind of a weird thing. So you are working on your Orca.
Yeah.
You want to show us? Can we see?
Yeah. So
I mean, you can pretty much just pull this thing into this view, and we can see it, but we'll get a zoom too.
Part of our journeys.
Yeah.
Series. So I've been working on this for a couple weeks, and this started at life as basically just a gray box. I committed to completely repainting it. It has a detailed interior. This is the tail fin is the area that I.
Oh, this is the area where you had it?
Don't touch it.
Okay. But that's where it is, right?
Yeah, that's the area that I
you'll be able to fix that.
had an
That's not
issue
bad.
with the varnish, and so I'm sort of hesitant about touching the tail.
Yeah.
But it has a detailed interior, and so as part of the journey, I've been also working on painting the interior.
People are pretty excited about this. Yeah.
So this is fun.
Yeah.
There's a few like character models that go in chairs that are meant to go kind of in this command deck area.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last thing I'm going to do today is this cockpit is meant to be like an escape pod, so it's removable, but this is a 3D printed bit. So at one point in the past, I had used the actual cockpit bit as an objective marker. It's kind of cool, like you put it on the table and
Skate pod.
skate pod
Yeah.
kind of thing. So this was before I had the model built. I was like, I'm just going to use the cockpit as an objective marker.
Right.
And then fast forward 5 years, like I lost it because I was gaming with it regularly. This was in storage, and I lost it, and I was like, oh no. So I 3D printed this bit just so that I could have a full model. I've since found the actual cockpit,
And it does just kind of sit in here like
it
this.
does
right?
just sit in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have the actual one here. The actual one has a detailed interior as well.
Oh, no.
There's like a little pilot that goes in it and a lid.
Is it it's an earth cast? Or air cast?
Aircast, yeah. I'm not going to paint the pilot today,
Yeah.
but I am going to sort of paint some of the like screens and dials and knobs and widgets and
Right.
that he's got. I'll put the lid on it, and I'll do some edge highlighting on here. And so my plan is for today to mostly work on that. I brought this just to kind of show the context and kind of describe the fun story about this 3D printed piece that is now no longer relevant.
Ultimately, oh, there's your base. Ultimately, can we get a view of the interior? Is that going to be hard to do without?
Yeah,
we can also move the camera if we need to. Oh, there it goes. Ultimately, Brett, I forget, and also I'm asking you this not just for the benefit of those at home, but I kind of forget. Ultimately, what you've been. Oh yeah, that's really nice. Ultimately, there are fire warriors that go here, in all the seats, and there are. You can't actually tell from here, but there's also like what 6? Is there not a row of crisis suits that goes here?
There are, and I actually so this was a Forge Road model circa 2004.
Okay.
And so it's the super old Crisis kit. The legs on those Crisis models were not posable. They had sort of straight knees, and led to their sort of very static
Oh, yeah, it had
poses,
like a
right?
squatting kind of a pose. Yeah.
And so Forge World made sort of resin posable legs that were bendable at the knee. And so they included 6 Crisis suits with this kit.
Oh, I know where this is going.
And
You
then-
turned those into normal Crisis.
And I made them into normal. Yeah.
I
And
know.
so I was like, oh, this is great. At the time, they were like the most amazing thing ever because the standard Crisis kit didn't have posable legs.
Right.
But if you got this or the Manta, you all of a sudden had Crisis suits with posable legs, which is amazing.
Yeah.
And so all my Crisis suits now use those legs from this kit. And so I don't have I don't have them anymore.
But
I also feel like if you put those models in here, it obscures a lot of the detail.
that's what I was gonna say.
It
Yeah.
completely fills up the volume, and
Yeah.
you can't kind of see anything.
There's also I didn't even really realize that there's 8 drones.
8 drones racks for 8, and then I put these little decals from your Aeronautica transfers that are
okay.
like the T'au numbers for 1 through 8 to denote them. Yeah.
This is pretty cool. Yeah, I kind of agree with you. If this thing was packed, because the Crisis suits are like the whole.
They fill the whole
They
space
fill the
in
whole
between.
thing.
And it's kind of funny, like we joke about how rhinos are clown cars and there's no way you could fit 10 Space Marines in a rhino. This is like weirdly a model that GW made that you can actually fit the amount of things that it can carry.
20 Fire Warriors,
Yeah.
6 Crisis suits,
Yeah.
8 drones.
Yeah.
Which I haven't been playing 10th Ed, but that sounds actually pretty powerful. Like dropping off that would be kind of a lot.
Right, right. Its rules have changed over the years. It used to very clearly say you could bring 24 Fire Warriors, 8 drones, 1 ethereal, and like some number of Crisis or broadsides. You could bring fewer broadsides than Crisis
Sure, makes
if you
sense.
put broadsides in it.
Now I don't.
Now it just says 48 models. The rules
Wow.
for it, I just say 48 models, and
Have fun.
if you bring a battle suit, it counts as the number of models equal to its wounds characteristic.
Oh, that fills up fast though.
So
actually.
broadside's 8, a Crisis is 4 or 6, depending on if you bring shield drones. That's the other weird thing. Like the shield drones, I guess it sort of makes sense. It takes up
they take
space
up
in the
space.
rack.
Interesting.
Anyway, for LVO, I'm going to have 20 Fire Warriors, 2 characters with the Fire Warriors, so that's 22, and then probably 3 broadsides. So that's another 8 times 3 is 24. So
Yeah.
I'll have 46 out of 48 slots filled,
Yeah.
which is cool. So 3 broadsides, 20 Fire Warriors, and 2 Counter Fire Blades.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Fun.
Yeah.
What are you working on?
Okay, what I'm working on. So
Go back to.
yeah,
I can pull this away.
yeah. I've been working on one of the things I'm aiming to do this year as a hobbyist is take 2 of my armies, in particular not the one I'm about to show, but my daughter's a Kane, and the second one is this one, which I'm taking to LVO, my Beastclaw Raiders, and to just kind of start just like finding places where I can make them look better.
Leveling up.
Yeah, leveling up. So I started doing this already on, and I'll be the first to admit I've been a little bit. There are pictures of these guys throughout a few different stages. I'll be the first to admit I have not, for the benefit of the viewers at home, yet really taken it side by side, made any kind of side by side
Right.
pictures. But what I did on we had not this past Sunday, but the Sunday before, right? We had a marathon stream where we leveled up some things. And I brought up the value of white on these guys. It was actually more like a light gray.
Yep.
So I've done that, trying to bring up the value. On this guy in particular, earlier today, I kind of redid some of his Frost Spear.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be
looks good.
getting in with some white brushwork to make that look a little bit better.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to do a little quick research. I want to see how bold, or if it makes sense with this light color to kind of look up and how to intentionally do a frost effect with super glue.
Oh my gosh.
I'm not sure I want to do it. I don't know. Yeah, your face.
Ooh.
Well, so, but here's the news. Here's the thing. We do have cleaner. I have
There's a product that undoes that.
undoes it, and I have it, and I have it. So if I mess it up, I could do it. I don't know. See, I don't know how well it's gonna show up on the light surface.
Yeah, and like how different is that going to look than just like airbrushed white?
Right. So I don't know. Okay, but
Okay.
I'll be honest. I'm the goal here is to make this army look better. And I do need to figure out more ways to do that. What I've done since, by the way, Sundays is I've gone back and kind of reworked on the straps because they all turned white and the ropes as well. So I kind of recolored those. I need to probably do some metal here on some of these little bumps. I have two of these guys here, so I do want to do his spear. The other thing I was looking to do... Oh, I forget what I was going to do on this guy. Oh, I have to do this guy's tail. Stonehorns have this really stupid tail that breaks off all the time. Here's what it should look like. It should look like that. But I decided that... You can see here. Yeah. You can see how easily that breaks. This one is... All of them have broken. And most of them I've repinned. This one broke, and at some point I lost the piece. So I made kind of a new one for him today.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
And so
it looks fine.
He can be...
It's a conversion.
It's a conversion. He can be hooktail.
It's how you can tell the difference, too.
It is, actually, one nice way for that. So...
You need that.
I need to paint up Hooktail's thing a little bit. So that's one thing. And then what I have here with me, so I have those two guys, and then I have all the Mournfangs. I actually haven't done quite as much work on the Mournfangs weapons as much, so I'm going to be doing that as well. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, let us know. I know some of you in chat are in Vegas.
Yeah.
As is the case with LVO, it is a tradition that you are very often painting up until literally like 5 minutes before your first game.
Yeah.
So did you bring paints with you to the Rio? Are you painting in your hotel room right now?
Literally right now.
I guess, that's sort of what we're doing. We're just doing it at home instead of, in a strange hotel room.
In a strange hotel room.
With poor light and
well, yeah.
not the right tools.
You had your mix up a little bit today, we'll call it. So you'll be fine.
Fingers crossed. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel okay. This army is not. I do not with 230 entries. At the Sigmar tournament GT, right. I don't feel confident placing it all on best painted.
Okay. So you're low stress.
I'm pretty low stress here. I'd like to get this army in a spot where it is something that wins best painted.
Right.
Can win best painted. It has won best painted at a little RTT, little 36-man RTT a couple years back. That was fun. So I feel nice about that. But I didn't get like a trophy. I got a gift card.
Oh. Well,
you
could buy a gift card, buy a trophy with the gift card.
No, you can't buy your own card.
Not with that attitude.
Your own trophy. Yeah, I wanted like a little, and then it's kind of a bummer because
you're setting these rules for yourself that just don't exist.
The next year when they did that event, I took Gargants. I'm not sure why, and I didn't even place for painted or whatever. And they did have trophies. I was like, gosh dang it.
So you would have won a trophy if you just, been in the right place at the right time.
Exactly. So I was a little bummed. Yeah, I like my little plaques, my little trophies, more than a gift card, honestly.
I was going through some old piles of things the other day, and I found a RTT trophy that I won in like 2004 or something like that. This is like back when GW, if you were a local gaming store, GW had this like events team that you could apply to, and they would like come out and run the event at your store, or if you were sort of trusted, they would just send you the sort of standard prize package and all the materials, and you would run it yourself. And so they had like a standardized Rogue Trader tournament like trophy that you could win as part of that sort of standard package.
Oh, okay.
And they had like a little, you're meant to, if you're one of these event organizers, you're meant to get it engraved. They had a little plaque, a little like engraving area.
Yeah.
And then
Was this sorry?
Give it to the person who won.
Was this not a GW store?
It was not a GW store.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a store in the Detroit area called Pandemonium.
Okay.
Which is like, it's like a name that you would expect a game store to have.
Yeah,
right?
that's
Pandemonium.
Kind of a game store name.
Sounds like a game store name, yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, I know the other thing I'm going to do on these guys. I have to go grab some Corellian green shade. I want to, on the Mornfangs, I do a lot of kind of like war paint on these guys.
Yeah.
And
I like your war paint.
I have it, thank you. I have it all on the ogre bodies, but I want it on some of the Mornfangs have like these kind of bland horns.
Yeah.
On the back of their saddle. Here. And I want to put some...
Oh, yeah. That's a good
some
idea.
Here, yeah. I've done it on the larger guys. I haven't done it on the Mornfangs. It's sort of weird doing this army because I was very happy with myself when I first painted this army, that I painted an army of skin and metal and bones and gubbins and stuff so quickly. And at the time, there was a lot of things I really liked about the kind of drab style coloring I had done. But now I'm kind of always looking for something to like stand out more.
In this era of like more contrast, more better, it's definitely like grimdark style is not like a realistic style doesn't really stand out.
Yeah.
It's not, doesn't win awards.
So at some point, I know I'm gonna have to do more on the ogres themselves. You guys can see they're pretty drab. I like their skin tone. I like the way that you can kind of look at their skin tone and be like, I don't actually really know what color skin that is. It's
Right.
kind of gray, kind of tan, kind of, yeah, it's got a lot of ambiguity going on. And I kind of like that, but I need to bring some stuff up more probably. So eventually the ogres will have to get brought up a bit too. But I'm worried about them kind of looking a little too cartoony on top.
Yeah.
So that's going to be what I'm up against.
Michael Cody, or Molecule Cody, sorry.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that's how I got this worst plaque. I actually, when I found it, I was like, I had this moment where I was like, I never got engraved. Like the store owner never engraved it for me. He just gave me the thing and was like, you can get it engraved yourself. So now I'm thinking to myself, I could put whatever I want in here. Like I'm an adult.
What is wrong
with
people?
Some amount of disposable income? I could go to the trophy store and for $20 have this engraved to say whatever I want.
Is that what you want to do?
Yeah, I kind of want to what should I have it engraved with?
What did you win it for?
It was like winning the RTT.
Well, you should just do that.
But what does I say? Like I could say I could have it be this super long thing and say oh man, this guy Brett, he won this RTT. He's the coolest dude ever. What a rad guy. No?
I think people would then know that you... this isn't particularly compelling television, watching me paint a tiny little metal piece on a tail. I think people would then know that you... everyone would believe you that you won it, but people would know that they let you engrave it yourself.
Sure.
Which is a story, but I would want not that story to be told. I'd want to cover up that truth and tell a lie that I actually won at a legitimate place where the owner was not a lazy grognard and instead, did what he was supposed to do.
Right.
Unbelievable.
Different strokes for different folks, Zach.
I guess so. Hey, Brett. Okay. Going to LVO.
Yeah.
This is not your first rodeo. Our first LVO rodeo.
Oh my gosh, no. And honestly, if you're going to LVO, I feel for Saray and you in chat who are going for your first time. There's some if you've heard people talk about LVO, it's an experience, and there's a lot to. There's a lot of. You can have a good time or a really good time depending on if you know some secrets, right? There's some secrets.
And we're going to look at some secrets. We're going to look at Brett's secrets to LVO.
Love it.
Okay. Now, are these real secrets or not? And I think it's up to you, the viewer, to decide how serious these secrets are, right?
I think, like most things in life, there's a nugget of truth.
There's a nugget of truth to a lot of these. Should you do all of them? I think they're all... Let's just start, right?
Yeah, let's just start.
We have several of them. We're going to spread them out throughout the stream today and talk on each one. So, Brett, the first one, pretty innocent. Go ahead. Tell us what we're looking at.
Yeah. Here. So, Rio, when does LVO tickets go on sale? It's like during the summer, right?
It's like early, so it's like June.
It's very early, sort of awkwardly early. Like, you're not even, like, not even sure LVO is going to have, like during COVID, you're like, are we gonna have an event this year? Is this like a thing? And like the tickets go on sale and you're like worried that they're gonna sell out because that sometimes happens, and then you're worried that you're not gonna be able to get a hotel room because that's a dumb worry because the Rio never sells out. But so you like book your hotel and then so you get all your stuff, you spend a bunch of money, and you're like, man, am I even gonna like this hobby in like 7 months? Maybe I'm right. A little premature, but
out of the hobby.
But the tip here is that the Rio often the event rate that FLG gets with the Rio is often not the best rate that you can get during the season.
Like kind of a lot.
Kind of by a lot.
Yeah. So
you should definitely book a ticket, a hotel room when the hotel block opens up. But the Rio, this is I guess what allows this tip to exist. The Rio has like a very lax cancellation and rebooking policy. You can cancel at any time, and you can rebook at any time. So you up to like 24 hours in advance. So what you do, the tip is you just wait till Black Friday when they often have sales on hotel rooms, which is weird.
It is weird,
but you wait till Black Friday, set a alarm on your calendar reminder, and call the Rio or look on their website and be like, hey, what's the price? And they won't send you an email and say like, hey, there's a lower rate on your room. Yeah. But if you call them and you're like, hey, I would like to cancel my reservation and immediately rebook for the exact same date in the exact same room, they're like, okay, cool.
You get some 22, 25-year-old dude or chick, and they could care less. Yeah. They could not care less. And they're like, all right, oh, yeah, cool.
All right, your $300 refund will be back on your credit card.
Bonkers. And I would say that this one is highly real and has happened now twice.
It has happened twice.
We've all done this twice. The first time we didn't take advantage of Black Friday sales, as far as I remember. No. Somebody, I can't remember.
It was Elias.
Elias randomly booked a room and started telling us the price, and it was like $100 less than the rest of us. Yeah. So we all were like, cool. Oh, wow. We did it, and they were fine.
They were fine. And this year, I was chatting with... Discord member Chicken.
He was in here.
No, he's in chat. Yeah, okay. Great. And we were like, hey, would you be interested in going to LVO? I was like pseudo trying to convince him. He didn't require a lot of convincing. And we were having this conversation, like it just so happened on Black Friday. And he was like, oh, let me log in right now and see if I can book a what the rates are, because he was sort of feeling out how much this event was going to cost. And he was like, oh my gosh, they're having a Black Friday deal. I'm just going to book it right now. And so we sort of by chance discovered that the Rio does Black Friday deals. Like what? That's a thing?
Not a lot of people would know that hotels do Black Friday deals.
I did not know that.
Because if you think about, if you're like a business traveling dude,
yeah, you're not going to care.
Well, yeah, you're not going to care. And it's just a weird thing to check. Like, anyway, it's kind of weird. Businesses who send people around should do this, though, huh? They should go buy a bunch of rooms for. I guess it's not how businesses. I guess that's not how big corporate businesses.
But like, hotels.com or something. If you were a thing like that, you could just buy a bunch of rooms and then resell them.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what we should do.
Instead of what? Any of the other things?
Instead of like
Instead
having
of
a
all of this, we should just do that.
instead of having a legitimate job, yeah, we should just buy and resell hotel rooms.
Well, so and yeah, Called Offers mentioning Travelocity. My big issue with a lot of those, and I don't know if
Hey, caller.
Travelocity specifically is like this, but like Hotels.com and all those things. I've only really been recently booking straight through the hotel, and my big thing is that they often have a lot of weird stipulations to like a cancellation or a refund
Yeah,
if you go through one of those websites.
right. The Rio does not.
Yeah, if you go directly through the hotel, they don't seem to have those as much. So I don't know
Yeah.
if that's a thing or not with Travelocity or different or Google or whoever else you can book through. But anyway,
That's our first tip.
that's our first tip.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned for
Throughout
more.
the episode today, we are going to unload all of our tips on you.
Yeah. We also have.
Why are you laughing, Zach? It's not
We
funny at
also
all.
have a poll. Please
Okay.
do it. Do the poll. Why do you like going to LVO? What's the fun part of going to LVO?
The last minute painting. I'm kind of kidding, but I'm kind of being facetious, but also not. Like, I really enjoy it. Like, one of the big things I enjoy about events is the motivation to push a project over the finish line.
Sure. Yeah. Of course. I'm with you.
Ooh, wow.
I need
Moving
to.
parts.
Yeah. I mean, I these guys are probably the army I'm going to be taking to a lot of competitive events this year.
Yeah.
For Sigmar, so I need to. I do really need to spend a lot of time and make them look as good as I can get them to.
Yeah.
Kind of silly to have these other armies sitting back here that aren't going anywhere that I'm working on and trying to like level them up, and then this is the army that actually goes places.
Right. Yeah, I feel like people do this with units in their army as well. They're like, oh, here's my favorite unit. It's my like big centerpiece thing, my Storm Surge or my Bane Blade or my whatever. And it's like, you use that model maybe once a year.
Right.
Like it's the intercessor, it's the fire warrior, it's the Hormagaunt that you use like literally every game.
Right.
Like, why do we put so much time and energy into these models? I mean, I get it. They're like big and cool and fun.
Well, you're the Orca's
doing it right
currently
now.
pretty good. The Orca's good, right? And you're having kind of like you're worried that this is going to be it. This is like the last hurrah for the Orca.
Yeah.
At least for a while,
Yeah.
right? The Orca works in game. It's fun, and that's important.
Right.
Because it's not fun. People are like, oh, who cares? People always are like, who cares? Just take it anyway. It's
Just
like,
take it anyway.
and then they just destroy turn one. And like, yeah,
Right.
that's why I didn't do it, dude. Because I knew you were going to do that.
Yeah, it's tough. It's like you want to just kind of like take it anyway and not care. And I guess maybe if you like wrote a custom scenario for it or something,
Sure.
You could do that. But
Sure.
it has to sort of, we've talked about this before, like a big part of what makes units fun to play with in this game is if they feel on the tabletop the way that they're portrayed in the lore.
Yeah, if they feel like they're getting to do their thing.
If they're getting
right?
to do their thing, right?
Right.
If a unit you just deploy it and then pick it up because it died and you didn't get to do anything with it, like it's not fun. Like,
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. All right. I guess we'll re-rack
Right.
and until I get to go first, and so maybe I'll get to do my thing once.
Right. By the way, Soups, as always, thank you for the gift of membership.
Thank
We
you,
saw that
Soups.
grabbing Adam D. Welcome, Adam D. If you're here, happy to have you. Yes. So I mean that's kind of why you're doing it because like you said, this thing is having a moment.
It's having a moment, and I have always felt like you just described, like I love the model. I should just like paint it and not care.
No.
But like the reality is that I do care.
Same, yeah.
And so I'm going to use this moment as an excuse to, not an excuse, but like as motivation to
There you go.
to do the thing
Right.
that I always should have just done,
Yeah.
which is not care too much.
No, I'm
Paint the thing.
totally with you on that. I'm people always try to talk you into that, and it's no bueno. It's stupid. It's like I don't know, like why? Like it's a misjustice, so to speak.
Yeah.
I'd rather make a force that's like this is how T'au should act, or this is how Beastclaw Raiders should act, right? There's no reason to take this other model because it detracts from that.
Yeah, and I think there's something to be said for making suboptimal picks in the list building phase, and just kind of like trying to make it work.
Right.
That's still a fun way to play, but at the end of the day, you need to feel like even with those handicaps, you have a shot.
Yeah.
And so especially in the case of a model like this, where its job is to transport stuff, if it gets blown up turn one, it's not transporting anything. It's literally just a box that you deployed your models in that again then got blown up.
Got a lot of your other models
caused
killed.
a lot of your other models to die in the process. Like, it's not contributing to the game in literally any way at all.
And the game rules are pretty generous with that in the case of an Orca, because that thing's supposed to be up high.
Right.
It's a lot of Fire Warriors.
They're falling pretty far.
Falling. I bet Fire Warriors have some kind of like little parachute in there.
Parachutes.
Thingy or something. But
yeah.
Yeah, I'm totally with you, and there is a difference, right? So a good example of this was, again, I have not played 10th Ed 40K, but quite honestly, I've always taken a little bit of flack for, or I don't know that I honestly should say I've taken flack, because I haven't been playing competitive 40K ever.
Yeah.
But I know that nobody has ever really thought Vespid are great. But they actually are. They usually just have like been too expensive or something, right? Or something else can do their job better.
Yeah.
But they're cool.
They're cool.
And they do their thing. They get the deep
thing.
strike.
Yeah.
They get to shoot AP
high guns,
high AP weaponry at Marines or something in the back. They can usually kill a lot of it. Then they can buzz around back there for a turn or two and cause problems, right?
Yep.
And that's like what Vespid are supposed to do.
Yeah.
Maybe,
and there's an argument to be made that maybe they're not costed properly, but they get to do their thing.
They get to do their thing, right? So I'll take them, but I'm not going to take like, I don't know. In T'au, I mean, I guess I don't know how things are right now, but historically there have been like crew toxes. Only in the past, in the 9th Ed book, did they kind of start to feel like they got to do their thing.
Yeah.
And even then, you had to put a lot of strats into them and stuff, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I think melee units probably how that most classically struggle with this. Like, if a unit has a bajillion melee attacks, but no delivery mechanism, it's not fast, it can't go on a transport, it doesn't have deep strike, like, in order to kill things in melee, you need to get to melee, and then you have to have like good stat line. And if either of those are missing, your melee unit doesn't get to do its thing, right?
Right. Yeah.
So, yeah, I feel like melee units historically, like Crutox, like you're saying, have maybe historically suffered from this more.
There are 3 kind of units that I don't take as a Beastclaw Raider player. Because there are really only 2 units that I do take. Things riding Stonehorns and things riding Mornfangs. And even among this list, a lot of people would probably drop these 4 Mornfangs for another Stonehorn.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
But the Mornfangs are very reliable in damage.
Sure, yeah.
So I like them. But there's a Thundertusk, which I don't know if you've ever even seen my Thundertusk. He's the alternate build that the Stonehorn
Yeah, I was going to say, he looks like the Stonehorn, right?
Same kit.
If you didn't know the difference, you might just say they're all.
He has tusks.
Yeah.
He's a woolly mammoth.
Oh,
basically,
I see. Okay.
Right.
I mean, they're all.
No, not really. I mean,
you're like, he's a woolly mammoth, and I'm like, they're literally all woolly mammoths.
You do build the same body, which is sort of,
Does he have a guy on top?
Yes.
I am doing the thing that non-T'au players do when they play a T'au army. They're like, I don't care what your thing is called. It's just T'au nonsense. Yeah. Like, to me, that's all Stonehorn nonsense.
No. He's very different.
It's all Beastclaw nonsense.
He's very different. If I showed up behind to a player if I was like taking Daughters of Cain and I showed up and somebody had like 4 or 5 Thundertusks. Actually, against Daughters of Cain, that'd be kind of good. They're scary. They have like a blast. Instead of being like a big, brutal, scary beast,
Yeah.
they're like a.
They have a little.
They're more like this is a mystical,
Ooh.
mystical beast of the winter is like.
I see.
Okay. Yeah, they're not. They don't hit very hard, but they have like a blast, frost, breath attack.
Breath, yeah.
Okay. Same body. The tail is like a little nub.
Okay.
That you fit in here. It's like kind of cute. It looks like it's a little weird actually. And then their head is all different and they have big tusks and but yeah, they don't really feel like they do their thing as much. Or maybe they do, but they're too expensive.
Yeah.
They might actually feel like they do their thing because their thing never says, "Oh, these things are horrible, murderous creatures" when you get in combat with them.
I see.
Instead, they're kind of like
they're shamans, shamanistic.
Kind of creatures,
mystical snow creatures.
Hey, thanks, Cass, for becoming a mandrill. That's amazing. We appreciate that. I thought.
Hey, Cass.
Yeah. I didn't realize it. No, I guess I did realize it. It told us when somebody did that. That's awesome. Thank you. And also, thank you for gifting 5 memberships. We do appreciate that, as always. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome.
Thank you.
Welcome to new folks.
Yeah. The colors did not change earlier, but now here they have.
Oh.
And
yeah.
Okay, these are the colors. I didn't get to change the colors before the stream, so they're whatever the last colors were. Cool. Okay, now let's do a little bit of frost stuff.
Well, I have another tip for our.
Okay. All right. Here we go. Should our
Vegas attendees?
Are we ready?
I'm ready.
Go?
Yeah.
Okay.
Go for it.
Here we go. So this is tip number 2.
Tip number 2.
Okay.
The Rio has this is a sort maybe a problem of the past, but there's always a giant line for the coffee station in the morning. Like the line when you come down from the line for the Starbucks store that's like just at the foot of the elevator, like wraps around. Like you can't get out of the elevator because the line's backed up from the Starbucks station all the way to the elevator. It's crazy.
Right.
And similarly, the first year we went, the breakfast place in the Rio that's by the convention area wasn't open either. And so everyone was just like, "Oh, the only place I can go get breakfast is like a scone at Starbucks." And so it made it even worse. Now the breakfast place is open. Cool. If you want to sit down breakfast, that's an option. But
it's $1 million.
It's $1 million. It's very mediocre. And
it's aggressively mediocre.
And there's a giant line for it.
Yeah. And aggressively mediocre American breakfast food is like,
oh my god.
Yeah.
This is one of my biggest pet peeves. I am like
paying for breakfast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am like an okay cook. I'm like
you're a pretty good cook.
I'm pretty okay. I'm not as good as you, but like
I
enjoy the food that I make, which I think is probably the most important thing.
Yeah.
I think I enjoy the food that I make more than my wife enjoys the food that I make. That's fine. But like breakfast is like the one thing that I sort of pride myself on. And that's not saying a whole lot. I acknowledge that making breakfast food is kind of probably the easiest meal to make. But I'm like, if I can make decent breakfast food, like why am I going to pay somebody $18 for an omelet? I struggle with that a little bit. Anyway, the nugget of truth in this tip, I guess the whole tip is true, but the thing that I wanted to specifically point out is that there is a breakfast restaurant across the street.
See, I was going to let you make the decision if you want to get this information out.
No, yeah, there's like 18 people and 21 people in watching this.
Many of them in the United Kingdom.
that are I'm not super worried about. No, but Zach's right. Like in the past year, I've intentionally not told people about this because I don't want this breakfast restaurant to get like overwhelmed. But there's a breakfast restaurant that is across the street. I can't remember the name of it now. Do you remember what the...
Is it a person's name?
No, I have... no, I don't think so.
No, I don't. And also the Italian Amaro bar that we wanted to go to, I forget the name as well.
Okay, the name of the breakfast place is called Polaris Street Cafe.
That's right.
Polaris Street Cafe. It's in like an old gas station. They like renovated an old gas. So you walk up and it looks like a gas station that's like closed down because there's no gas pumps in front anymore. Anyway, Polaris Street Cafe. It's like classic diner, you know. So you go in and you pay $12 and you get a giant plate of food with hash browns and toast.
Yeah, it's not too expensive.
It's not too expensive. You can walk out of there with I mean, like most breakfast joints, the $3.50 coffee really throws it over the top. But like, yeah, you can for less than $20, you can have like and out the door $20.
Yeah,
you can have a very fulfilling breakfast. It's a little bit of a walk, not terrible. It's across, like I said, across the street. But like, I actually kind of have come to enjoy the, like, oh, I just woke up, took a shower, got dressed. I'm gonna go like for a little bit of a walk, get some exercise, some fresh air, eat some food, come back, give yourself 45 minutes in the morning, do all that, and then go play some Warhams. That's tip number 2.
yeah. It's a good tip. I've gone to the place a couple times with you. So my breakfast tip, typically, actually I need to go do this before. Actually, right after stream, I should go do this. I actually like to, especially if I'm not flying, but even sometimes if I am, I tend to, for the morning, I like to eat a piece of string cheese.
Oh yeah.
And there's these like brands of these like little crunchy,
little proteiny
kind of things that I eat. I don't like to be running around in the morning, and I kind of prioritize sleep.
Okay.
So I'd rather get up later than eat the breakfast and eat my weird thing after I get down to the hall.
Yeah, that's fine.
But going to the breakfast is nice.
It's not for everyone.
Yeah, I would not be surprised if I joined you at least 1 or 2 days there this week, because it is nice. The food is good at that place at Polaris.
If you want to know where I am at 8:30 every morning in Las Vegas during LVO, it's at Polaris Street Cafe. And this year, every year we would like walk down from the Rio, walk across the street, and you walk past this like other hotel on your way there.
That's right. This is fun.
And weirdly, my wife and I are staying there this year. Like,
you're staying at that hotel.
Yeah, Leah was like, I don't want to stay at the Rio. It's too smoky. And so we are staying at that hotel that you have to walk past in order to get to Polaris Street Cafe. So I'm actually closer there to breakfast than I have been in past years, which is exciting.
There's this frost spear. We're going to leave it at that for now. I'm not going to do the super glue thing. As funny as that would be on stream to learn. All right, but I've got a lot of things to figure out on this guy over the coming months. But this is going to be how he's going to Vegas. Okay. This guy is the guy. I need him to do well for me.
He's the man.
He's the man.
It's important to know going into a game, like, who your important units are, you know?
Yeah.
Who's going to win you this game? I'm sure they get to do their thing.
We'll close the poll in a little bit, but clear winner, which I thought is running ahead, so we'll see. Which I kind of thought would be the case. But what are you most excited about for LVO, Brett?
I really enjoy the teams format of the narrative event. You and I did this. Mm-hmm. Had you gone to Vegas before?
No,
that was your first year as well. Okay.
Yeah. Was it? It was yours.
It was. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
2019, right?
2019.
Literally, very aggressively close to COVID.
2020.
Because it was 2020, right? Yeah. It was 2020.
Yeah.
We got back
January of 2020.
I feel like if we had our head to the ground a little bit more in Vegas in late January, we probably would have already been hearing about COVID.
Right.
But March and then that year was the thing. Yeah.
Yeah. There was news about this weird disease that was afflicting people in China.
And we always bring up that like we weirdly insanely lucky because COVID started in China, it was Chinese New Year.
Right.
When we were at Vegas.
Right.
And they were doing like a big Chinese New Year thing.
Yeah.
And you have to assume some people had traveled from China to Vegas to spend their Chinese New Year in Vegas because they were doing a cool thing. They had fireworks, they had all kinds of like cool stuff. Everything was decked out in red and gold and stuff, right?
Yeah.
And somehow none of us got COVID. Presumably.
I know, it's so weird.
Yeah, I'm still kind of surprised by that. And we wouldn't probably have even known. Like if we had come back and had COVID in like mid-February, early February.
Yeah.
We might not have even really known at that point. It was not till like March where people were like, "Hey, this is a thing."
It was in the public awareness. Yeah. But yeah, you have some restaurants that you like going to as well. I don't know. The food in Vegas is good.
It's quite good.
If you travel, if you're willing to do a little searching, read some reviews, spend a little bit of money. You can have some really good food. There's a lot of like everywhere. There's a lot of mediocre food, but like if you're a foodie and you go to Vegas, it's worth doing a little searching.
You can absolutely have a pretty impressive time. My big problem with Vegas, and this is Megan's gonna be shocked to hear me say this, is every time we go to Vegas, we just go to Vegas for like these few days. We never extend it. And we really need to do that because, first of all, that O-Mart or whatever it's called.
Yeah, Omega Mart.
Omega Mart. I'm just like convinced I'm never gonna get to go there.
Right.
To go to that. Somehow everybody else is gone except for me. I've never gone. I'm sure I would love it, but anyway, I want to go and spend more time. The food is quite good. We've had a lot of good food there. We don't have our main food guide this year, Elias.
Right. Elias has been our he's in the restaurant industry, and so every year he gets the inside scoop on what's new and hot and what up and coming chefs are doing interesting things there, and he serves as our food tour guide. He's not coming this year.
Not coming this year. Total bummer. But I will.
Busy starting a restaurant.
Because he's starting a restaurant here in San Jose, which is not a bummer. That's actually going to be exciting. But he has taught us well, and we've learned some things, and I know he gave me the confidence to look and find my own places. I know people like make fun of me for being a boomer for using Yelp, but you can look at a restaurant's menu and kind of tell if they're like jackasses or not, you know?
Oh yeah.
Like you can pretty much do it. If you look at an Italian place and like front and center is like spaghetti and marinara sauce, then they're probably jackasses, you know? Like they're probably not good. So you can kind of look around and see,
get the lay of it,
and just see pictures of the place and stuff like that, and kind of get a sense of what they're up to. But I don't think I ever even would have much tried that in Vegas if it wasn't for Elias kind of hyping me up and telling me all the amazing places.
That food was like a thing there.
Did you go to the Tiki? We went to the Tiki Bar together last year,
I did
right?
not go to the
You
Tiki
didn't
Bar.
go.
Yeah.
Tiki Bar is pretty fun. It's pretty good.
What was the name? Do you remember the name of the Tiki Bar?
This is the problem. We're not remembering the names of any of these places.
We're recommending people go to these places and then not.
I mean, if you look Tiki Bar up in Vegas.
It was walking distance also. It was like within a mile of our hotel, right?
It wasn't far. Hey, Sleepy Gary, how's it going? Yeah, I know I should go, but when? And also, like, there's like stuff. Basically, I feel like I'm pretty much booked. Now, you know when I'm not booked?
What's that? Sunday?
On Sunday, unless
Yeah.
I get in the top 8, which I think I'm definitely not going to do.
There's like a 50-50 chance you're going to be booked on Sunday.
I think there's a 50-50 chance that there's like a 1% chance that I get it, that I'm available.
Not with that attitude.
That I'm booked on Sunday. We'll see. Caldor, thank you. He says, have a great LVO, gang. Someday I will scratch Go to a Con off my bucket list. Have not had much time for streams, but good to catch you all live. It's good to hear from you too, Caldor. Yeah. Good
to hear from you. Glad you're doing okay.
I, for the longest time, was not that interested in cons.
Yeah.
When I started, what Fault Line kind of is what made me want to start doing them. more and more people from our club were doing them.
Right.
And it was kind of like, well, look, if I go now, I'm going with like,
Yeah.
half a dozen to a dozen friends of mine. So like, why wouldn't I do this, right?
I think, there's a thing that happens where you meet people there, and
They become like your convention
they
friends.
become your convention
Yeah.
friends. Exactly. You see them again at the next year or at a different convention, especially if there's like, like if you get into narrative gaming, for example, there's a limited number of big narrative events around the country. And so a lot of folks who you'll see the same faces at LVO narrative, at Nova narrative,
Sure.
at the Grand narrative, at GW Grand narrative. So there's that happens. But yeah, like I think it can also be really expensive, right?
Yeah.
Like we've talked about this.
Kind of quite expensive, honestly.
Quite expensive. Yeah. So you do have to kind of pick and choose.
And it can also take over your vacation life.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, all your PTO can just
that is what has
disappear.
happened. Yeah, to Megan and I.
So you have to. I think last year I overdid it with 2023. I overdid it with events, traveling to events, and so 2024 I'm making a very conscious effort to scale back.
You even didn't do Nova last year.
Didn't do Nova.
You think you overdid it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't. I enjoy Nova. I enjoyed Nova the one time I went, but it was a lot. It's all the way across the country. It's a lot of money. The flights are expensive.
Not particularly compelling for Leah to go and tag along, unless she wants to just explore. Well, I mean, it is DC.
It's DC, yeah.
To be honest with you, Brett, actually, the way we did it this past year is 2 years ago. You came and we stayed with my sister, who lives not too far, but we had hikes to and from every day. But staying at the hotel nearby, and I think it was also just in a better place. Last year than the year you and I went.
Yeah, it's a hard choice, right? Like all of these events are compelling for their own reasons.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you have this decision to make, then what and you have 8 events during the year. I'm just making up a number. Like 8 events during the year that are exciting to you.
That's a lot, actually.
I don't know that I actually have 8, but
every other month is kind of the pace, right? If you think
6,
about it.
Yeah, okay.
So you got January. I have every other month going for me. Right? I have January. I'm going to Rocky Mountain Open for the second time. That's March. In May I'll have Maelstrom Mixer, which I'll be helping with.
Right.
And
that's our local event.
That's our local event that Brett runs.
We won't have to travel for that.
Don't have to travel for that. Likewise, in May I have BAO.
Right.
Which I don't have to travel for. And then I have kind of June and July off, although I'm hoping to go to Boise Cup this year.
Boise, okay.
Yeah, for AOS, and I think it's in July. And then in August I have actually 2, beginning of August, which is Old Town Throwdown. And then
in Nova. Right?
And then Nova.
September? Early September?
Yeah, and then actually, October, I didn't go to SoCal this past year. That's the one I kind of didn't go to.
You gave up on, yeah.
I gave up on. SoCal, there's a lot of cool things in Southern California. And I feel like I'm paying a lot of money for hotel rooms because Southern California is expensive. That's fine. We know that. San Diego, California in general is expensive, right? But we live in California, and so we're used to expensive costs. And I don't feel like when I go, we don't feel, that's kind of a nice thing about California, right? They jokingly call it the California exchange rate. Like, I don't go to Denver and find I'm shocked by prices.
I see, yeah.
Right. I'm never shocked by prices. Until, and by the way, we live in what is actually Santa Clara County. This is supposed to be the most expensive county, basically, in the U.S.
In the United States. Wow.
Right. But when we go to San Diego, it is crazy. It was crazy expensive. Yeah. It somehow shocks us from Santa Clara County. And then you're at the event, and it's like it's in a giant airplane hangar.
Right.
And it's kind of a gross venue, and there isn't very good food. and I'm kind of like that. There's a mismatch of what Frontline is putting on, which is the same kind of event they put on in Rocky Mountain Open, but Rocky Mountain Open takes place in the middle of like this nice scenic park. You're not really, it's cheap. I mean, I stay with friends who live in Boulder, but like, if I had to get a hotel, it wouldn't be that much. So you're spending a ton of money to be in Southern California, then you're spending all day in an airport hangar.
Right.
And so there's like
weird.
There's this bizarre mismatch between what you're paying for and what you get.
Yeah.
Where I honestly, even the Bay Area Open, like that hotel it's in, is pretty nice.
Right.
The food is ridiculously expensive, but the drinks are normal price, and the hotel's kind of nice. And I mean, it's not the best part of the Bay Area, right?
Yeah.
You could, yeah. I don't know.
All right, I have a question.
Yeah.
For you in chat.
Okay.
This cockpit guy here. Can I do the Zoom thing? Okay. This cockpit thing. This is the printed one, but the actual one that I'm working on looks similar. Has this bumpy thing on the top, and I don't know what that is. Like, I know Eldar vehicles have these like gems on them. Mm-hmm. This doesn't feel to me like a gem. It's too big. Why would it be in the middle of the cockpit? I can tell you what actually is if you look underneath on the real model, it's a cutout for his head. Like the pilot's head is too tall, so it's like the head goes up into that little bump.
I would suspend. I wouldn't address it, honestly.
So don't paint it a different color?
I mean, there are bumps on other T'au vehicles.
No, I don't. That's fine. That's fine. That's a fine answer.
Yeah.
I would not be sad about doing that.
No, but there are bumps like this on other T'au vehicles.
There are, yeah. And I have painted them either black or as like a gem effect or something like that.
Oh, I always just leave them.
Yeah.
I always assume it's like an internal component type thing. It being his head, I'm like, that's just Forge World screwing up the model. I'm not acknowledging that. Or like, okay, his head actually goes up. Yeah, no, that's clearly not what that's not like design. That's just like practical. You can tell.
Anyway,
the VR dome on the inside. That's actually what I was gonna say. Chicken brought it up. I was about to say, oh, it's a VR dome on the inside.
Yeah.
It's like a little mini IMAX for his head. But then I was expecting to like see that they like thought that that's what it was supposed to be.
Right. And modeled it.
And modeled it as a dome, or even just modeled it as a dome, but it's not.
Yeah. Okay, I'm not gonna paint it.
Yeah, I mean, all right, guys. While we're here, I'll show you.
Get out of here.
I'll show you. So actually, I think these little markings on the horns on the back of the Mornfang kind of a big deal, huh? They had a lot.
Oh, that's a huge deal.
That
goes a long way.
They had a wild amount of interest to the model. Yeah,
I love that.
I'm shocked I haven't done this previously, especially because I have been doing this on. You can see, like, here's the stone horn that I've done it on already. I do it up on. Let me see. Here, I'll hang them upside down on the horns there. Cool. All right, I'm glad that actually that worked out. Brett, tip 3. Are we ready? Oh wait, we gotta close our poll.
I want to finish one thought.
Yes, please.
So you asked me what I was most excited about for LVO.
Yes.
And I went on this long tangent. I like I was saying, I really enjoy the doubles format. Chicken and I have been to the Grand Narrative twice now together, and we've played on the same team and had a really good time doing that event together.
Yeah.
And so we're gonna play as a team this year on the at the LVO Narrative, and this is like literally the first time we played like together like in a game before, and I'm excited. He and I are, and similar to you. Like, he's very passionate about T'au, and in the past, like, I played Bryce with Templars last year. I played with Bryce using my Templars last year, and it was fun. I like Bryce. We had good games. It was a fun time. I don't know, like, T'au is just my first faction, and I nerd out about it in a way that, like, I get excited about playing this faction in a way that I don't with other factions. And so I'm just super excited to, like.
That's a topic that's interesting in and of itself, right? Like, have you? So you've played. You've played your Templars, and you've played your. You also have some like kind of Scion heavy.
Right. Imperial
Astra
Guard, yeah.
Militarum, right,
Yeah.
guard. Do you, because I've played a ton of Sigmar armies now, and I've painted Sigmar armies and played them and found out that I don't always love the play style, and I'm fine
Sure,
with
yeah.
that because I'm still happy to have the army. That's what happened to me with Slaves of Darkness. I was like, we've talked about this before, right? Like, what makes an army exciting for you, and it's
Right.
lore, painting, and play style, right?
Yep.
I feel like those three have to kind of work together.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, painting kind of like aesthetic, but also like it'd be fun to paint.
Yeah.
Just you're excited to make it look cool, right? Yeah, have you felt like Templars fell short after you got them going on one of those?
Yeah, I mean that's an interesting question. Part of me yes. I mean, not that I don't enjoy playing with the Templars again, like I do. It's just I enjoy other things more, I guess. Is a weird way to put it. Like
No, I think that makes sense.
I don't not like playing with the Templars. I'm happy with how they came out. I'm excited for the paint scheme. Like I think that's another part of it is like if you're pleased with the paint scheme and you feel good about putting your models on the table, it goes a long way towards helping you enjoy a game.
Like,
And
sure,
I do feel that way about the Templars.
sure, like, okay, like the difference is I'm not gonna play a game and I'm gonna sit and watch TV, or I'm gonna play a game with Templars. That's like same with my Slaves of Darkness. Like right, I'll play with Slaves of Darkness.
Sure,
like,
yeah.
But I'm kind of like, I think I know what you're saying. Like you'd rather probably play with your T'au.
Yeah, I think, and I was kind of down on 10th and was struggling a little bit to feel that energy that we had in ninth when the edition switched over. But after discovering this playstyle with this Orca model, like it's all come back. I'm very excited about it, and so that's part of it. Is like this narrative event we're going to allows legends. So I can play with this model that I'm super excited about. I've got this painting project lined up that I've invested in over the last month or so to get this model kind of up to my modern standard for quality of paint. And then the format and the friend that I'm looking forward to playing with is like the kind of last piece of it.
Right.
So yeah, it's all kind of a nice. And I think, if I put on my my tinfoil hat for a minute, like, I'm sure the people who put on these events, like they want you to have that experience. They want you to like feel excitement to come to their event, so that you'll kind of keep coming back year over year. And they try to create these experiences that you can only have at their event so that you're, a loyal customer, et cetera, et cetera. But, I try not to think too much about that.
Oh, I mean that's okay. Like somebody's got to do it, right?
Yeah.
You and I have both put on events. They're a lot of work.
Yeah, they're a lot of work.
And we've put on much smaller events, although maybe more. Maybe sometimes in our events there's more going on in the actual game section of things. But still, that's the fun stuff anyway, right?
Yeah.
We did more of the fun stuff. Frontline is doing a lot of the unfun stuff that nobody really wants to deal with. And that's why it's their business, right?
That's why they get paid all the big bucks.
Right.
All right, cool. Yeah, third tip.
Here we go. This is a good one. And then we'll close our poll.
All right.
Okay, here we go.
This picture.
This picture is great. I don't know if you're talking about you in the foreground and the background. This is why we pay $30 a month for Envato right here for this kind of work right here. Yeah.
So FLG does this thing. I think FLG does this. I don't know. I imagine other event organizations do as well. I don't know if GW does, but if you the line for registration at Vegas, well, pre-registration is tomorrow. It opens at, I don't know. Do you remember what time it opens? 5 or 6 or something?
I don't.
And in the evening, and there will be a line. There will be a line before registration opens to pre-register. And if you show up at 6, let's say it opens at 6. If you show up at 6:30, the line to pre-register will be 45 minutes long. You'll have to stand there in this giant line. And nerds are good at queuing. We like following the rules, and so we'll stand there in our happily quote in air quotes, stand there for 45 minutes in line to get our con badge. But there's a hack here. FLG has this policy: if you have any amount of swag in your attached to your ticket, there is a separate line for people who have swag that need to order swag, because all the swag is in one area. Actually, I should say I'm probably saying this the wrong way. There's a line that anyone can go to if you have swag or not. But if you don't have swag, you get in this. Well, no, that's not true. Anyway, I'm saying it wrong. There's a line that you can only go in if you have swag, and it is usually way shorter. And so by adding a $5 commemorative pin to your shopping cart when you buy your LVO ticket, you can basically cut the line. You can get in this other line. So get some dice, get a pint glass, get a folding dice tray with FLG on it, some objective markers, whatever.
I need to figure out.
I've never done this before, but I see people talking about it and doing it all the time, and I'm like, I should.
I might have gotten swag. I can't tell what's going on. Megan bought me a gift ticket, and then I don't know. She transferred it to me. I don't know that. I think she bought. I think we got a shirt, and it's her size though. So I don't know what's going on.
Oh.
I don't know why I'm sharing this information. It sounds like just a conversation Megan and I have to figure out. But yeah, closing the poll in conclusion. Okay, what is your favorite part about going to a big con? Of course, everyone says seeing their friends, right? Yeah, it's fun to make like you said, you make your convention friends. I know I have a bunch of convention friends all from SoCal that I only get to see when I go to AOS SoCal thing. I'm excited to see all those guys. I also know some East Coast people now from some Novas, right?
Right.
I saw some of their names. I saw this girl I played, Teresa, played Iron Jaws. I saw her on the. She's actually playing Ogres. I'm kind of curious what she's bringing. If she's doing Beastclaw Raiders or Gutbusters. So yeah, it's fun to go see your convention friends, right?
Yeah, convention friends. That's awesome. Yeah, we like you said, we've been doing this for a couple of years now, and you just meet people, and eventually people come back and you see them again, and that's rad. Last year we because of Maelstrom Mixer, this event we run in May, I handed out flyers, and 2 people that we met in LVO who I gave flyers to actually came, and it was rad. It was so cool to see them drive up from SoCal, because we met them at LVO, and they came up for Maelstrom Mixer. They're going to be at LVO again this year, so I get to see Steve and Charles again.
Steve, who's tape measure.
Steve.
I still have.
Yes, that's right.
I still have it actually. Maybe I should bring it and try to get it back to him. Yeah. I've had his tape measure for like 3 years. That'd be great if I could get Steve his tape measure back. Okay, I'm gonna bring it.
Okay.
It was my primary tape measure for a little while.
All right.
Also, so it served me well, and it still works. Tape measures don't always last that long.
Yeah, sometimes they stick around, but not always.
This one is stuck around, so I'm gonna try to get it back to Steve. He deserves it. Who was the other person? Steve, and then who was the other one?
Charles. Yeah, you didn't meet Charles.
Yeah.
Charles we met for the first time last year. He plays Death Guard, and is a neat dude. He definitely had the right vibe. He and I, I was playing Templars last year. He and I had crazy battle. Death Guard are known for their durability. Templars also known for their durability. And so we have this like immovable object versus a movable object fight between, you know, Blade Guard veteran, Black Templar Blade Guard, and Death Guard Terminators is very iconic. But yeah, it was a cool matchup. Cool. Enjoyed meeting him, and he asked some questions at the end about starting a narrative club. So he was like, "Hey,
Oh, cool.
This thing that you did at Maelstrom Mixer, I'm interested in recreating whatever fault line is in Southern California, and can you like sort of tell me how you did it? What is the secret?" And I don't know that there is a secret other than be the change you want to see in the world. But
That's kind of it.
yeah, I'm curious to find out if he's had success and how that's gone for him this year. Anyway, convention friends.
It's convention friends are fun. I'm very excited. As far as these other things, general vacation vibes. I don't know about you, but when I think general vacation vibes, the last time I had a general vacation vibe was not this past September, but the one before that when I turned 40. Meg and I spent like a week in wine country
in Sonoma,
doing like pretty much nothing except for like one fun thing a day and then like eating at cool places.
Yeah,
it's kind of the last time. I feel like I don't really get general vacation vibes when I go to a con. Do you?
It feels I have too much nervousness.
Yeah. Well, and too much there's too much going on. You're like
too much going on. Yeah. And I think if you took the whole week, I mean, like we were talking about, there are people there today, and having an extra day definitely helps with that. But yeah, if you're just driving on Thursday and you show up Thursday night, like you've got too much going on.
Yeah. I didn't ever push it with you and Leah, but I did with Meg. But she really had taken some days off and wanted to work today. But I really was trying to leave. I was gonna see if you guys would leave today.
We're short on Leah's short on PTO.
So I figured it would be kind of a long shot with everybody, but one day.
There's nothing to do down there on Thursday, I guess, right? Other than just get settled and
on Wednesday,
Wednesday?
Tonight if we got down there. Oh, you mean during the day Thursday? Yeah. Well, we did last year. This is historically we have gone on the Wednesday.
Yeah, well, you had to like set up the booth or whatever.
Right. But also, you do lunch. You can probably get games in if you want.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
there are pickup games to be had.
Yeah,
for sure.
But we'd be there with our others, right?
Yeah, and you're right. It'd add to the vacation vibe.
We go to a Mega Mart, whatever. Finally.
Yeah.
Everyone else has already been there, but still. Yeah. I don't know. I don't really get vacation vibes though in these things. There's, like you said, there's a lot going on. Too nervous. Do you get nervous before your events? Before your games? Like, talk to me about your nerves. I was talking to Meg about this a little bit.
I get nervous before travel that I'm going to forget something, and then I can't shake that nervousness. No amount of like list writing or preparing or anything will help me shake that nervousness that I'm gonna forget something until I've left. Like once I'm so I have to have both left and I have to be far enough away that I can't go back. Like until I'm like more than a half hour out the door, or if I'm at
Gilroy?
the airport.
What about Gilroy?
Yeah, once I'm at Gilroy. I lose it.
Morgan Hill.
It all falls
away. Are you turning around at Morgan Hill?
Nope, Gilroy. It's probably
Gilroy.
It's a good point.
Gilroy.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, like
good to know.
Oh man, I can't. And Leah and I've described this to her as like, look, it's just gonna be this way. I'm just gonna be a nervous wreck until we are far enough out the door that there's no turning back. Like whatever I've forgotten, I'm just gonna have to buy a new one of when we get there. Like
don't forget
I have to make sure I have medicine and a cell phone and a wallet. But like beyond that,
you're not gonna forget those things,
right?
Though.
Beyond that.
Buckwheat pillow. Don't forget that.
That's travel. That didn't make it into the list, Zach. The buckwheat pillow.
Wait, you're not going to travel with it?
No, I am, but it didn't make it into our LVO tip list.
Oh yeah, no, you gotta take that. Yeah, we're responsible for reminding each other to both bring it and return it.
Mine's already packed.
Yours is already. Well, wait. What are you gonna do tonight?
I have a travel one.
Oh, you got a travel bucket?
I got a travel buckwheat pillow.
Is it smaller or is
It's
it
smaller? It's physically smaller.
Oh,
yeah.
interesting.
And it fits in a suitcase.
This
doesn't take up the whole thing.
This is the saddest conversation. By far, the saddest conversation we've ever had on stream.
You know what's funny is
just mute if you don't want to be sad for the next.
Leah and I have been troubleshooting. She has some allergies at night and has been coughing, and I think it's actually she's allergic to buckwheat. Is that what we've discovered? Because we had this idea maybe she's allergic to buckwheat, and we got one of these allergen approved like
Tests?
pillowcases.
Oh, okay.
You put the pillow in this allergy proof pillowcase, and she doesn't cough anymore.
Really?
Or she hasn't for like the last 3 nights. So.
Oh, this just happened.
This just happened. We just had this idea. She just got it. Yeah.
Yeah, interesting.
Anyway, for those of you at home, Zach and I both snore if we sleep the wrong way, and buckwheat pillows is a innovation that
Helps.
I don't know who came up with it, but it's like sleeping on a sack of rice, and you can just sort of put your
Japanese
head.
people hundreds of years ago.
You can just put your head in this position, and the pillow will like hold your head there.
Yeah.
Your head doesn't like shift.
Snoring is just like caused by your head being in a weird position.
In a weird
and,
spot.
closed more than it's like throat passages or whatever being closed more than they should.
Yep.
And so the buckwheat pillow just holds your head. It's just about support.
Yeah.
It's not cuddly.
It's not cuddly.
It's like a bag of sand.
Right. And you would think that it's very uncomfortable, but it's actually not. It's not as uncomfortable as you'd think.
No.
Anyway, that's why we are talking about.
Okay. Also, lots of games in a short time. How do you feel about lots of games in a short time?
Oh, I don't care at all.
Like you're into it, or?
I am. I guess after the event, I'm like, wow, that was fun, but I don't look forward to it. It feels. I mean, well, there's a
Are
reason.
you a 2-game person?
I'm a 2-game per day person. I don't enjoy the 3rd game. I do enjoy the 2nd game. And I definitely leave LVO and events like this feeling like I've upped my game. I feel like my game is better coming out of 3 days in a row of playing 2 games per day than when I started. So that's cool. I definitely feel like it energizes me for the hobby and for the gameplay. But I'm not like, oh man. You know, I guess there are people out there who this is their cons like this, or they're like one time a year where they get to play games.
Yeah.
We know people like this, and that's not the case for us. Like you and I get plenty of games in. We're not sort of lacking for people to play with or games to play, and so I don't feel like I need to go to a con in order to scratch that itch.
Right.
So yeah, I don't. But when I do go to an event like this, I definitely feel like the many games in a row in sort of rapid succession does sort of improve my my gameplay. I feel like a better gamer.
I have to say, we've talked in the past. At least I think I've talked outside of just people I know and on stream, because I'm going to do it now, about the way that in competitive events, the way that people don't cheat, but that they can kind of try to psychologically mess with each other.
Oh yeah.
Doing things like, and I didn't really know this. I ended up having a conversation with this a year and a half or so ago with Adrian and Bridger and John and over at Titans, and talking about that and talking about getting to the top tables. And this is the thing John and Bridger would talk about, especially about how something that just makes them realize that they'll never really fully like love competitive 40K, because you get to these top tables and people just do weird stuff. Like a big one is we were talking
mind games, not like weird stuff in the game.
Kind of mind games. Like an example of it is someone checking line of sight from their model, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not being able to see anything in your army.
Yeah.
But kind of knowing where the unit is.
Okay.
And then being like, I don't know, it's pretty close. Do you want to tell me what you think? Right?
Oh,
they know, they can't see it. Right? They want you to check from theirs, and they want you to be a nice guy, right? And they kind of like put it on you. right? There's already an answer. He can't see anything, right? But they want to put it on you. They want you to make the call, right? And then when you say no,
then you're a jerk.
Then it's like, okay, all right, like this guy's not, you know what I mean? Yeah, it's stuff like that. And I have experienced this at top tables, not top tables, but higher, like getting like being like going into 3-0.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I've experienced a little bit, but not much. Very, very little. And I kind of thought about, I think about playing lots of games, and I think about the ways I've done it.
Yeah.
And I have a few ways that I do it to people, but I think all mine are cute and funny, but they might not be cute and funny to the people who are doing. So the big one I always do is if I have like a pretty hardcore turn,
and
I cause a lot of damage, and then like maybe I also double turn right after that, and they want to concede, and it's like 45 minutes into the game, I'm like, okay, yeah, let's score it up. I don't push back at all. So I don't think that's really rude of me to do.
You think they expect that you're gonna?
They might want some push
back.
Well, yeah, like
you're okay. Maybe if you do this.
Well,
maybe
but see, that's the rude thing I do, because that actually might be the truth, because my army can fold up pretty quick.
Right.
Right. If someone gets a couple good turns.
Can I tell you one thing that I've noticed that you do?
What's that? This is gonna be good.
This is gonna be good. Live on air. The last game we played, it was against Cities. You played Cities, and you're new to Cities, but I've played a few games. I've never played it before, never read the book, don't know anything about it. You spent the first like 20 minutes while we were setting up talking up like everything your army could do. And I get you didn't want gotchas.
Yeah.
But I spent the whole game then avoiding this one character on a hippogriff that I was like, the dudes with the guns, the Fusiliers.
Oh, Fusiliers. Yeah,
like massively handicapped myself in that game because you spent like 20 minutes talking up these Fusiliers about how deadly they were, and they were going to roll a bajillion dice, and they were all, Rend 1, and they had these strats they could use and these command abilities and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I just got into my head and was like, oh my gosh, these guys are so deadly.
Oh man,
and in hindsight, I was like, this is like Zach's thing. He loves, like, in the name of not gotching me, he's gonna like overtalk these guys up.
Funny.
And then like it's his like polite thing that he does by not
funny.
Gotching me. But like in hindsight, it caused me to lose the game. Like, I don't know if that's what caused me to lose the game. But
I do that a lot with these guys. And one of the things I'll always say is I have a not inconsequential amount of shooting with this army, so heads up. And people will also stay back weird. They'll like be weirded out by some of my shooting or something. Or the other thing I'll point out is I'll say something like, I'll be like, just so you know, I have a lot of little weird ways to do 1d3 mortals, and that can get me out of combat in the charge before the charge phase, so then I can charge again or something like that.
Right.
And I think that can weird people out too.
Sure.
Like they're trying to think of maybe instead of throwing one unit into the Stonehorn, I need to throw two. It's like, well, you probably just got 2 units killed instead of 1, right?
I don't know that there's a right answer to this because you do want to avoid the gotchas.
Right.
So I'm not sure that like the right answer is to just not say anything. However, it just struck me after we had that game. I was like, I don't think Zach was doing this on purpose. But,
no, definitely not. But
but it's an interesting dynamic.
I do get worried though about not so like another. Okay, so Megan and I had just played, and Megan doesn't care. She wants to experience it and just get wrecked and be like, okay.
I feel like I'm the same way.
Okay, because you were talking about the flying guy, the Griffin.
Yeah.
With all of his artifacts and stuff and his transhuman, he's insane. And I kind of tried to tell Megan that I was like, I can't express, like, I'm just going to say, I can't express. He hits really hard. If you get close, he can cause problems, right?
He hurts you.
So I try to do that a lot, and I probably maybe oversell things. Anyway, so that's my,
No, I think that's like
I don't feel bad about either of these. I don't think it comes from a good place.
Yeah, I don't think you're like trying to gain an advantage.
No.
But there's part of me that's like, oh, this is kind of a cool trick. You could like
mess with
it's kind of a damned if you do, damned if you don't kind of thing.
Yeah,
like if you have this big beat stick unit or that's unit that's got this one weird trick, you can hype up the one weird trick and then use that to influence your opponent, how they deploy or how they move or, whatever else.
But people will also do that on their own a lot. Like, for example, here's a good example. Like, Mornfangs are right about to bear down and smash you in the face.
Yeah.
You have a good shooting unit.
Right.
Mornfangs are -1 to wound in the shooting phase. Okay?
Yeah.
And so you shoot something else that's, like, not a threat.
Yeah.
Because you're like, oh, I'll get more bang for my buck here.
Right.
Right? And that thing has a 5 of ward, and Mornfangs have, like, no ward. But you're like, I'm gonna shoot that other unit.
Right.
And get charged. I'll just deal. I guess I'm just gonna die. But I do not want -1 to wound, right? Like, people will do that to themselves. You can be like, they're like about to pick the Mornfangs. I'm like, just so you know, -1 to wound. I'm like, oh, well, forget it.
Yeah.
I'll shoot them. And it's like, no, you still
need
to shoot the Mornfangs. Like,
right.
this is bad, right? Yeah, kind of interesting.
I'm trying to think what the T'au equivalent of that is. Oh yeah, I do this. Oh yeah, this is the T'au equivalent. Ready?
Yeah.
The T'au army goes Super Saiyan on turn 3. Like, the whole army gets double exploding 6s, and its output goes off the charts.
Okay.
And so you just make sure to tell people that, like, hey, just so you know, on turn 3, my whole army is gonna become insane. And so you just force them, like, their natural response, if they never sort of played against T'au before, is like, oh, I have to, like, run at you as hard as I can.
Either resolve it. Yeah, I mean, in reality, Deepkin are like this in Sigmar, because they fight first turn 3. But, like, yeah, and you have to make a decision. Do you either want to try to play the game in turn 1 and 2, or try to play the game in turn 4 and 5?
No, sorry, it's from turn 3 onwards.
Oh, it keeps going.
It keeps going.
Okay,
yeah.
with Deepkin and Sigmar, it's
only
done.
Turn 3,
it's turn 3, right?
Right.
Oh man, that's interesting.
So you've got this mind game.
You have no decision to make.
No decision to make. But, like, oftentimes you can, like, even if the T'au player plays really passively, they often still can't come back from turns 1 and 2 if they kind of just got outscored by a lot.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm just touching up a little bit of metal pieces on these guys. I started all this with lots of games. Oh, here's what I was gonna say. So here's another way I know that actually. Here's another Zach head game thing, but I don't really do this with my opponent too much. This is kind of a thing for me. I actually enjoy the last game of day 1.
Yeah.
And often this happened to me in Nova, the first game of round of day 2.
Okay.
I often enjoy pouncing on those games.
Oh wow.
Because your opponent is often tuckered out. So
yeah, they had too much to drink the night before.
So that or they might be they might be like, if we're both 1-1 and they just came off a bad loss, they might be demoralized or something like that.
Okay, yeah.
Yes, but that is exactly my Nova opponent, super great guy, corn player. Josh was his name. He was a pretty good player. We kind of were having an okay game. His dice weren't great. And he was super hungover. And he just, like, wasn't making good calls all the time. And he was annoyed by his dice. He was super, super positive attitude and stuff. But I'm, like, pretty okay with, like, waking up nice and refreshed on that day and, like, beating a hungover person.
Making the best of it.
Yeah.
Do we have another... What's our 4th tip?
Speaking of waking up refreshed.
4th
tip. Here we go.
If you can't stand smoky casinos, try getting used to the smoke by taking up smoking a week in advance. You can always quit later, probably.
Yeah.
The Rio is very smoky.
Yeah.
This is why Lee and I are staying at that other hotel, because she was not excited about the smoke.
We should mention this isn't actually really.
This is not actually a tip. You should not do this.
You should not. It's not going to work.
The real tip.
Actually, it might work.
It would work.
Yeah.
But it's a bad solution to a very real problem. But yeah, it is smoky, and you should be prepared for that. Take breaks.
There aren't really there aren't really great ways to prepare for it.
Yeah, I don't know how you prepare for it, really, right? What are you meant to do in this case?
I will say that the Rio is actually, they've done a pretty good job of having the rooms be not too smoky.
Right, the rooms are not terrible. Right?
The play area is not too bad either.
Play area is not too bad either. It's literally just getting from your room to the play area.
You walk through the
The casino floor.
The casino floor.
Yeah.
And for me, I get a lot of congestion from cigarette smoke, and it seems like fresh cigarette smoke can do it, but for whatever reason, it seems actually like almost like it happens more if it's like old, just carpets. I'm smelling just carpets covered in tar and tobacco. You know what I mean?
The reel's just kind of dirty, right?
It's been so. Apparently, it's under new management this year.
Yeah,
a lot of things that haven't been
committed
opened are
to some remodeling.
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
We're gonna see, but I mean, they're still gonna have smoking in the casino.
Right.
Right. That's not gonna change, and
That's
they're
not going away.
That's not going away. So, we'll see how. Typically, I've been fine, but it is actually without grossing anyone out too much. After Vegas last year, my nose was messed up for like 2 months.
Yeah.
Just like from the cigarette smoke and the dry air in Vegas and stuff.
Happen,
it was kind of a pain in the butt. It healed at around like May. It was actually even longer than that. We also went out to Boulder. It was dry out there. I don't think that helped. We'll see. I'm hoping to not have ruined a nose for the first quarter of this year.
Oof.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's literally like the con area is not terrible. The rooms are a little smoky but not bad.
Right.
It's literally just getting to and from. Yeah, another reason why I like the walk to the breakfast joint in the morning, get some fresh air.
Now, is the place you guys are staying a casino? Well, every hotel has some degree of casino, I'm sure.
I don't think it is. I literally think it's just a hotel.
Oh, really?
Which is why I don't think I'm not sure, but I don't think they allow smoking.
Well, that was Leah's hope anyway.
That was Leah's hope. We'll find out. This is it, right? We're gonna take one for the team. We're gonna find out how this goes and report back. We weren't able to take advantage of the super low Black Friday, Cyber Monday deals, so we're paying more. But maybe we'll come out of it without, lung problems.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Okay. Learning was the last poll thing.
Learning, yeah.
And not a lot of people want to learn, which I think, as Barry pointed out, says a lot about the channel vibe. Not a lot of learning going on.
Well, it has to be like your thing, right? You have to be into taking classes and stuff.
Taking the classes, but what about even just learning from your games? Like you literally just said, like you feel like
definitely. But that's not why I go, right? Like it's a thing that I appreciate after the fact, but I'm not like, oh man, I definitely need to go to LVO this year so that I can learn some stuff.
Yeah. But it is nice it's nice to get beat by somebody good. So that doesn't have to be LVO, or even a GT or even a con, right? But it is nice to get beat by somebody good and have them and kind of see how it happened and
right
and what caused it and stuff. So I enjoy that. I know I certainly learned something from Old Town Throwdown teams when I played Aaron. Literally like one thing that I would just probably never do again, right?
Yep.
And as a result, I'll probably be a better player, right?
Yep.
So I do enjoy that. It's not as great when you feel like your loss comes from some jank stuff.
Right.
Yeah. Against Aaron, it was a mistake I made that he capitalized on. I was like, not only will I hopefully never make that mistake again, I'll look to capitalize on that.
Oh yeah.
Mistake. Right. I'll look to do the same thing
against other people.
I had a game in Nova where the person was doing the Kron Spine was there was that time when the Kron Spine you could like just like break the bond with your own Kron Spine and then heal it up and and
then get it back.
The player kind of knew that it was jank and everybody knew it was jank, but he had it anyway and we played the game. I was like, okay. and then like the next week they clarified
Right.
it. Right.
You don't feel good about that.
Yeah. Right. Right.
Like, you know what? I learned a thing I already knew.
I learned that Jenk stuff is good, and
Yeah.
no one's happy when it's around. Right. Yeah. Exactly. Right. Yeah. Okay. We have one more Brett.
One more thing. One more tip. One more
Brett
top tip.
One more Brett top tip.
You guys ready for the toppest of top tips?
This is a good one.
Okay.
Okay.
Make sure there's some things you should bring.
Yeah.
Important things to bring. Water bottle. LVO is actually, this is more of a generic con tip. LVO has a lot of water bottles just kind of around
Yeah.
that you can grab.
Actually, Frontline's pretty good at this. I think they almost like provide for free, huh?
But I think maybe that the actual tip is make sure you're drinking water.
Yeah.
Like if it's around, that's great. But if you're not drinking it, it's not, you're not benefiting from it.
Right.
So stay hydrated. I would say make sure if you're using the 20-ounce bottles that they have on offer, 16-ounce bottles, make sure you're just drinking one of those each game, at least. And then comfortable shoes. So you're going to be on your feet a lot, and you want to make sure that you can, sit down when you're able during your games. But yeah, make sure that your most comfortable shoes, that you're most comfortable standing in for the longest periods of time. Bring those. And if you're planning on doing any after event, going to any after event entertainment,
Right.
if those shoes are closed-toed, then you will be able to partake in that entertainment.
Yeah, Molecule Cody says the background of this picture is actually just the Rio Casino. And this comes from a particular story, which is our friend KK, who's been on the stream before, Drax in Discord, went out for a night with our friend Elias and a Vegas native,
a friend of theirs,
who knew them from who was a fan of over at Titans, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they went out and went to a strip club.
Yep.
Except for KK was wearing socks and sandals because he is, a hippie.
That's his choice.
KK's,
that's
his fashion choice. He's
it's cool like that.
Yeah.
But they had to cut their night short because the bouncer didn't want them.
Didn't want them because of it felt like that it's too much for the other male patrons if they're going into the strip club and doing things you do when you go into a strip club, and then you look over and there's a guy in socks.
Right.
And sandals.
You're just like, what can I do against this?
Yeah.
And I have no chance.
Yeah, you're like, I was fine with all my life choices. There's a reason for me to be here. This is all okay until that. Once I see that, now
I actually don't know.
feel...
Does anyone in chat know why that rule exists? Why is that a thing?
I think
literally, genuinely.
I bet this is a US thing more than a non-US thing. But there are like dress codes for clubs and restaurants sometimes.
I see.
And I think
it's an outdated idea of a dress code.
I think
that strip clubs are supposed to be classy establishments.
I think so, right? Like, yeah, there's a degree to which they are trying to have certain things and not certain things. Historically, these dress codes have been oftentimes kind of like these low-key gatekeeping among racial lines or ethnic lines or something like that. They'll be like, they'll name a direct thing that some ethnicity or whatever wears, and they'll be like, if you do that, you can't come in here, because it's like, yeah. I don't know what the socks and sandals one is. I think it just, it does look like crap.
Closed-toed shoes, right? It's just about closed-toed shoes. It's not.
It really looks like crap.
Why
would you need what's you're gonna get stepped on by a stiletto? Maybe.
I don't know. Yeah, I think it must be about fashion.
It's about fashion, not safety.
Yeah. Molecule Cody says lozenges. Yeah, I think that's another good call out. You do a lot of talking at these events.
Yeah.
Yes, I feel like it's almost more so on the competitive side, but you get to this point where you're basically talking through everything you're doing in real time.
Mm-hmm.
You're trying to be quick, especially in the competitive side if you're on the clock. And so you're just sort of vocalizing. All right, now I'm going to move these guys. My intention is you're measuring. Okay, I'm like every model is within 10 except these last two. They're outside. So when it gets to the shooting phase, I'll only be able to shoot with 8. You're sort of like you've got this running internal monologue that you're just spewing out of your mouth. You're just vocalizing your internal monologue as you're thinking and talking and moving. And all right, these guys have this buff because they're within this, so they'll go from hitting on 3s to hitting on 2. You're just saying all this stuff.
Right.
And when you're talking constantly, your throat gets sore and dry, and you lose a lot of moisture out of your mouth.
Which is already,
which is the dehydration piece.
Yeah, I don't typically have this issue. I guess I'm lucky, or I talk too much already as it is, and I'm used to it. I haven't typically had this issue. I know John and Bridger have complained about it a lot. Does this happen to you?
Get dehydrated?
No.
Lozenges?
Yeah, like your throat.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not like, not sort of painfully or like debilitatingly so.
Okay.
But I do. I do feel on day 2, going into day 2, I do feel, a little bit hoarse. We've got a bonus one. Got a bonus tip.
Okay, what's your bonus tip? I don't have a picture for it though.
Try as best you can to remember the names of your opponents.
Oh yeah.
Zach, you are super good at this, and I learned this from you.
Well, I used to teach. I think
it is awesome if you makes your opponent feel really good. If you see them the next day and you're like, oh, hey, Frank, good to see you again. Hope you have a good, day 2. Like, if you can greet your day 1 opponent when you see them the morning of day 2 by name, like, you just made a friend. That's amazing, right?
Yeah. That's it. That's how you make friends.
So
hey, I appreciate your call out there for me on that one, Brett. But it's yeah, thank you.
Yeah, no, you do a really good job of that. And I think it's a thing. Like everyone says, oh, I'm bad with names.
I know. I have a rant.
Everyone's literally everyone's bad with names. That's not an excuse. Like, bring a note. I do this. I bring a notepad and I write down everyone's names. I do that. And then before I go to bed, I review my notes.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
That's pretty
I'm
cool.
like, this is how. It doesn't take long. It takes 30 seconds, and
Right.
it's going to make someone's day tomorrow.
Do you write their name down in view of them? Because that feels like really.
So I mean,
That feels
not like
like
obviously so.
I know we throw
That's
a lot
little
of
stalkery.
right. I was gonna say I know we throw a lot of a lot of our fans under the bus for being psychotic, but that clearly feels like a molecule Cody.
I asked them their social security
Yeah,
number
can I
while
get your
they're.
name
Can I have your name and your credit card digit? When does your credit card?
You know what? Never
With the
mind.
4
I'm actually
digits on the back
not
here?
gonna need that. I just need the last 4 of your social.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I know. I've always enjoyed having somebody explain to me how they're not good with names, but they're good with faces.
Right.
And I always want to know, what is the opposite of that? Like, the opposite is I just have all these names floating around in my head, and I can't match them to anybody. I know nobody does. Like, you're describing a human. Yes, yes. Congratulations, you are like every person.
Yeah. Yeah.
You remember what things look like. Very
Right. Yeah, I think it's everyone and I think that's part of the reason why people appreciate it is because everyone has this problem. Everyone struggles to remember names. And so if you take the 10 seconds to make an effort to remember their name, they'll appreciate it.
It goes a long way.
Goes a long way.
And like I said, anyone who teaches, you pick it up. I substitute taught especially, and just would teach like groups of rotating kids at different camps and stuff like that. And so you kind of have to try to do it quick, because it goes a long way. Like especially like.
Do you have any tips, Zach, for remembering names?
Yeah, so at an event, there's a few things you can do. I will often, if they tell me their name, and so the big thing is like it's really simple. Step one is when you meet that person, just be prepared to mentally accept their name into your brain.
Yeah.
If you don't do that, you won't remember.
Right. You have to when they tell you
Yeah.
your name, you have to like sort of consciously tell yourself this person's name is Bob. I'm going to remember that their name is Bob.
Yeah. So someone is like, "Oh, hi." So the first thing I would typically do is during a match, I'll just look at the name,
Right.
because you get matched up on BCP. You check the name, right? You go meet the person. I say their name a lot. I'll be like, "Okay,
Yeah.
Josh. So we're gonna do this." Or
If you say their name, it reinforces it for sure.
That's
a big
if it's
deal.
like a fun game, like obviously I know Megan, but she, we were playing, and she did the thing, and did a bunch of damage to my models, and then she's like, "Oh wait, first I have to roll. It actually only happens on 2 up," and she rolled a die and got a 1. And I was like, "Megan, you asshole," right? So if you're playing somebody, you're having a fun game, you can join in on their misery with the dice, right? You can say like, "Oh my God, Josh, you suck."
Right.
Josh, that's the worst roll I've ever seen in my life, right?
You can
Like,
sort of preface
if they're
statements-
enjoying, you gotta feel their mood out, right? But like, yeah,
You can preface statements that don't require their name with their name.
right,
As
exactly.
a way of just like
Exactly.
reinforcing
Yeah,
that. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's the only tip I have. Write it down and just say it a lot.
But if your event's using BCP, you can always like make it look like you're looking up a stat and actually just go look up their name. I've done that plenty of times, right? Like,
Yeah.
oh, I forgot this person's name was Josh or James or whatever, right? And
Yep. Chicken says, my first opponent was playing Knights, and my last opponent was his identical twin playing Death Guard. I was terribly confused.
oh wow,
Yeah, Chicken had this experience at the Grand Narrative. They were literally twins. They both came to the same event. They brought different armies, and they had the same opponent between the two of them at 2 different points of the event.
they know what they're doing.
Yeah. No, they commented on it to him. They're like, "Oh, were you confused when you like?" His brother came up to him at the table and was like, "So the two of them were standing there,
Oh, okay, so
in
you
real
got that.
time
Yeah,
and
yeah.
commented to him like, "Were you confused when you walked up?" Oh yeah.
Right. Oh my gosh, Brett, how are you feeling? We're close to wrap up time.
Yeah, I'm good. I still have to do an airbrush. Here, you want to zoom in?
Yeah.
So I still want to do some airbrush, some of the spot highlights with the airbrush on this guy.
It's looking great. You did this battle damage today.
So I did the weathering, I did the edge highlighting. I did a little bit of work on the interior. I did some of the screens and the buttons and the knobs. I'm gonna leave the interior of this dark. The interior of the cabin, the crew or the passenger compartment is a light color. I sort of imagine that you need your night vision when you're a pilot.
right.
So I'm gonna leave this dark. I might do some black washes in there or something, but I'm not actually gonna do like this escape pod. I'm actually not gonna do anything too crazy. And yeah, I did some extra weathering on the chassis.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I'm gonna put these little dudes in place, and then we can show a finish shot. We're getting close on time, huh?
Yeah. So go ahead, and I'll just remind people that tomorrow. So we won't have a stream Sunday. We'll all be in Vegas.
Right.
We will. Our next show, as far as I know, will be Tuesday show where Steven and I will recount our tales of LVO, followed by a
Exciting.
Wednesday show where I don't know who's on the Wednesday show a week from today, but those 2 people will recount their tales because all of us are going.
All of us are going.
So the whole studio is going. Very exciting. A reminder, if you're going, Friday, we have a hangout, and there's details for that in our Discord. And Thursday, tomorrow, we haven't posted Discord details. We don't exactly know what time we're getting down there yet. We're driving. So what we're kind of leaning towards, and we'll post this in the Discord, is kind of don't plan on meeting up with us for dinner, but after dinner, and we'll have a location for that we'll post.
Thursday night will be more like we're going to be in this place from this time to this time, probably.
Yeah.
Friday is the sort of formal meetup.
Yeah. Awesome. All right, should we get a look at anything here with your stuff?
Yeah. So why don't we just, I'll take it off the thing again. The stand. Okay, so here's the front. And I did this thing that I'm super proud of. I used a combination of decals from the OG decal set.
Right.
I don't actually know what these words say, but I'm imagining them as like the pilot's name. And then I put the little Aircast symbol from the Aeronautica decal set. So this is like, like in Top Gun, it says like on fighter jets, they say like they have the pilot's call sign like on the side there by the cockpit. So that's what this is. I did that decal. So I've not actually test fit this before. I actually really like how that looks quite a bit better than the 3D printed one. So I'm excited that I'm doing this. All right. Are we going to focus? There we go. Okay, cool. So that's the new cockpit. My gosh, I love that look. So much better than the other one.
Why? What's the difference? Can I see?
Yeah, so
it's angled down more, huh?
Yeah, and it sort of it doesn't fit quite as well. So I'll swap it out.
There's like a little bit of a gap more.
Yeah, it's 3D printed, and it probably fits into the 3D printed nose cone of the other one better. Mm-hmm. But there's like more of a gap here. If you look back here, it sort of just kind of sits in the pocket, whereas the actual
has a lip,
and it sort of I don't know, sits over the top here.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, it just I really like the look of that, and I think I'll probably put a decal on here somewhere too. So that I'm excited about.
I don't know if I have any left. You're welcome to take a look, but there is a weird decal towel sheet that a lot of people don't know about. There's a box. GW made these three sets of boxes of flyers, and I think it was called Stormcloud Assault.
Stormcloud Attack, yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And so there's a weird decal sheet that I think I have some remnants of. That is because I got some of the decal sheets from that. They're half Necron. The Tau box also came with a Necron flyer.
Right, it was Necrons and Tau, a split box.
Right, and I think I have some of those decals, and they're all Aircast.
Oh yeah, perfect. That would be amazing.
You can look and see if I have them.
Take you up on that.
Yeah, I can't promise I still have any of them because I know I've used some for my flyers.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So these guys are ready to go. I matte varnished the command deck here, but I left the screens glossy partially because I just kind of like the look of the glossy screens a little better. Also, Chicken has some cool like screen effect decals that he's offered to donate to the cause, and so I'm gonna get those from him at Vegas and put those on. And decals generally just go on gloss varnish better than the alternative. So but even after that, I think I'll probably leave them glossy.
One kind of weird lore thing I'm noticing. These appear to be Firecast.
They are, yeah.
Yeah.
So there's one Aircast pilot that sits up here in the cockpit, and these guys are like directing the battle down below. So these screens have nothing to do with flying the plane. They're there. They're like this is like a command and control like station for cool. whatever battle is happening.
Okay,
yeah. So these guys are like leading they're like helping coordinate communications on the battlefield. Yeah.
Okay, that's super cool.
You got it. Yeah.
Yeah. I've often wondered if like there was like a low altitude combat flyer, if it would be, this is the lamest thing ever, but only Tau people would wonder this. If like that would be Firecast, right? Like
yeah, interesting.
right, like something that's like a hover,
Right.
Like it's like
almost like a hammerhead.
Yeah,
but like more plainy.
Yeah, something like that, right? Awesome, Brett, we did it. So off to LVO tomorrow.
We're ready.
We're caravanning down together.
Yeah.
Nice and early in the morning, so we're gonna get an early start. Cool. Okay, see people who are going at Vegas.
We'll see you Friday night.
Friday night, yeah. Hopefully,
Thanks for joining us
sooner.
Tonight.
Yeah. As we say, be kind to each other, be kind to yourselves, and always be creating. See you guys.
Bye bye.